This is the classic sort of product of non-state actors operating in an
Mm.
age of what the integrated review called, a volatile age of state and state competition. Without the backing of a state, an organization like the Houthis would not be able to possess the training, the skills, the capacity for targeting and deployment of considerable amount of capabilities towards these targets.
This rise in Houthi attacks has meant that a lot of shipping firms have had to divert their vessels away from the Red Sea.
Ricky, absolutely right. This is literally a moving story in that we have two types of movements here taking place as we speak. One is about decisions of shipping companies having to reroute shipping away from the Red Sea and then through the Cape, and therefore adding a considerable number of days and costs with the added element of higher insurance premiums coming about insofar as shipping is concerned. And then you have the other element that is the other moving part, as it were, which concerns very much the type of attacks that the Houthis are sort of carrying out. We started at the beginning, there was a hijacked early in December with a helicopter. If you remember, the very sort of bizarre, if you want, operation that didn't sort of speak to high level of proficiency, but nonetheless successful in hijacking a ship. Then you had drones, missiles becoming the main component, and now the story is moving into a
Yeah.
combination of barrage of salvos plus attempted raids to assault the moving targets, the shipping in this question.
Can you explain to us more about the aims of these Houthi forces who are backed by Iran, who have now taken on the might of this Operation Prosperity Guardian, which is a group of international countries who've come together to try and stop these attacks and keep the Red Sea open for shipping?
And Ricky, you made a very important point right there, right? This is unfortunately you've got two elements that are overlapping. On the one hand, this is a story about a global order at sea that concerns the freedom of movement, the freedom of navigation of shipping. That's the baseline, right? And in that respect, anybody who's interested in prosperity the world over should have a stake into keeping the Red Sea open, workable space for transit. In particular, if nothing else, even if it's not the prosperity element that you're looking after, even in terms of sheer environmental protection, because the added number of days to travel to sea creates added pollution. So, if nothing else, there is a global
Mm.
interest in restoring shipping in there. But then, of course, you have the other element of the story. Why are the Houthis in particular targeting shipping through the Red Sea? Well, A, because prosperity is a core element, and therefore shipping is a vulnerable point internationally. And I want to try to use that so that the international community put pressure on Israel for a ceasefire and a change of strategy insofar as the conduct of operations in
Well, yes,
Gaza
because
is concerned.
they are blaming directly, the Houthi rebels are blaming directly the war in Gaza, but there are wider issues at play here, aren't they, with Iran?
100%. You're absolutely right. And I think what the game that is becoming very advantageous from an Iranian point of view is to put a very difficult United States in a very difficult position to increase if you want to challenge the credibility of the United States, but also to create greater, if you want, deep-seated discontent in the broader Middle East towards the United States, particularly because in light of the emergency package of additional weapon sales to
Mm.
Israel, the United States is seen, and the Iranians are trying to portray the United States as part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Alessio, how much power and force from a military perspective do these Houthi rebels have? I mean, I'm just going to read you their slogan. Their slogan says, "Death to the US, death to Israel, and curse the Jews." So, how much power does a group with those kind of morals have?
Well, there's two elements to this, and I think the way you presented the question is very important because, on the one hand, you have the sense of commitment. This is an organization that, by all sort of metrics of UK law and legal frameworks, is a terrorist organization. There's not much more to put to it, if I'm honest. And so, because of the very slogans, that is a powerful, if you want, rally cry for those joining these organizations. From a military point of view, however, this is the classic sort of product of non-state actors operating in an age of what the integrated review called, a volatile age of state-on-state competition. Without the backing of a state, an organization like the Houthis would not be able to possess the training, the skills, the capacity for targeting and deployment of considerable amount of capabilities towards these targets. Now, that being said, this is something that both the United States and European powers, from France to the UK,
Yes.
have proved that can be dealt with. The question is, how do we deal with
Okay.
that?